Shout out to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring this video. Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca, and in this video I'm drawing whatever the heck I want. With having a 3-month-old, I don't have much time to draw these days. So for this video, I just want to draw whatever I want. I'll be finishing up some commission work, creating some concept art, and trying to save a piece of fan art from being thrown into the trash because I hated it. So let's get started. For this first piece, I do not have all of the footage because I forgot to turn on the recording feature in Kpop Paint. So we are starting a little bit into the line art process. I should probably set the recording feature to be on by default because something tells me this won't be the first time this happens. Anyways, this is a commission piece. The commissioner was my lovely art friend, Rin Spirit Art, and she requested that I drew her character Kaisen. If you're into chill draw with me type videos, I totally recommend Rin's channel. I love to turn on her videos while I work, and recently I also watch them when I'm trying to get mini manga to take a nap. Her videos are the perfect chill background noise. She's also just a super lovely person, and I'm super thankful for her support. I'll leave a link to her channel in the description if you want to check out her stuff. Drawing Kaisen was super fun. His hair was definitely the trickiest part to draw, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. I think it turned out nice and fluffy, and I really liked coloring it. For the overall coloring of the piece, I wanted to keep it pretty simple since that's what I do for my headshot commissions. They kind of just have default lighting. But I did end up adding some overlays that made it kind of snazzy. I added them because I kind of wanted the lighting to match the hair highlights. However, I did give Rin 2 versions, one with overlays and one without. So here's my drawing of Kaisen. As an extra thank you to Rin for the many times she has shown me support, I wanted to do a sketch of her OC Sato. I always think Sato is so pretty, and I wanted to draw her for a long time, but was never able to get around to it, but now I did. Yay. Even though this was supposed to be just a quick sketch, it ended up being a really clean sketch. I did my rough sketch, and then my cleanup sketch, but my cleanup sketch didn't feel quite clean enough, so I did another cleanup sketch, and that cleanup was almost line art. I did spend more time on the sketch than I was anticipating, but I really enjoyed my time working on it. It was a nice chill piece to work on. I'm really happy with how the eyes turned out. I added a good amount of hatching to them to give that more sketchy look, and I also added a bit of color to make them pop. I did all the shading with pink since Sato has pink hair, and it works well for the skin. So here's my sketch of Sato next to my drawing of Kaisen. Rin seemed to be pleased with both of them, so I'm really happy. If you're watching this, Rin, thank you so much again for commissioning me. Next, I'm going to be working on some concept art for my fairy story that many of you know about if you watch my videos. I want to design a bird that my character Malachi rides. I'll tell you more about Malachi and the bird in a bit, but to start out, I found a bird with proportions that I liked, and I'm drawing over it to help me further get an idea of realistic bird proportions. Once my trace over was done, I used it as a reference for my more stylized version. I wanted to have realistic proportions as a reference so I could more easily see in what ways I was stylizing the bird. For the most part, I just changed the head shape a bit and drew the eyes in a more human way. Mostly because it looks a little less derpy, and it also adds a little bit more personality to the bird. I also stylized the feathers to be a bit simpler. Now I have my stylized bird, and I need this bird to have a headpiece and some reins that Malachi can grab onto, as well as some sort of saddle. This is a quick concept I came up with. I used birds from the movie Epic as a reference, and you'll kind of see that throughout the footage, I believe. Also, if you like fairy kind of stories, Epic is a great movie. I've watched it tons of times. So the bird needs a piece that wraps around the beak, and the reins will attach to this, and then it goes into a headpiece. I thought I could have the headpiece attach into the saddle where Malachi sits, and this will have a strap that goes around the area where the wings meet the body. And now we have this. Honestly, this is feeling like a bit too much or maybe a bit overcomplicated. So I thought I would try doing a colored version to get a better feel for the design. I thought it'd be cute if the bird was similar in colors to Malachi. When I was thinking about the bird, at first I was thinking I would base the bird off of an actual type of bird. but I kind of scrapped that idea because I kind of just wanted to have fun and let myself do whatever with the design. I ended up not adding the headpiece because it made the reins and saddle feel very restrictive. I wanted the bird to feel a bit more free, and I feel like not having the headpiece helped with that a lot. Also, this is probably how big the bird is compared to Malachi. So now that I have an idea of what the bird looks like, I wanted to draw some sketches of Malachi interacting with it. For this first concept sketch, I'm going to draw over this bird to help me with the posing. And some of you might be angry that I'm tracing over a picture, but please remember this is just for concept art. This isn't for a finished piece where I'm claiming I drew everything for myself. I'm not trying to deceive people. And honestly, drawing over the picture was really helpful and I learned from it. When it comes to birds, there are some areas that always confuse me, usually the tail feather area and the area under the wings. But doing this draw over really helped me have a better understanding of these areas and it allowed me to see them a bit more clearly. My usual process would have been I would have done a draw over like this, and then I would have used this draw over as a reference for my sketch. However, with mini manga, I am very limited on drawing time, so I did not have time to do that. Plus, the point of this drawing session wasn't to learn about drawing birds. The point was to try to see if I could draw Malachi riding a bird in a way that felt believable. Because I know I can draw birds, I draw them fairly often, and I know I can draw Malachi, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to draw them together. For Malachi, I wanted to draw him looking like he's having a lot of fun. I imagine he really enjoys piloting the bird. I feel like the bird needs a name. I have a few in mind, but I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments. I was thinking about maybe something like Starla or Nova, something kind of celestial. Oh, and I'll also be drawing Pariah on the bird with Malachi, but she won't look as excited as he does. Also, in case you don't know, Malachi is Silva's personal messenger, and Silva is a princess in Pariah's world. Malachi is a starling, so he can send messages via shooting stars. However, he's still in training and can't send messages super far distances yet, so he sometimes has to ride to different message outposts to get closer to where the message needs to go. Hence why I need him to have a bird. I imagine Silva also has a bird, and so does Chip. I'll have to design those sometime. Silva's bird will probably look more elegant, and Chip's will look more sturdy, if that makes sense. Also, even though I'm using this art as a reference, it is kind of out of date. Malachi no longer has the marking on his head, and I draw his nose differently. Well, I guess I just draw his nose. I didn't draw his nose before. He also looks a bit older. He looks extra baby in this first concept art. Malachi is probably about 13 years old. I haven't totally decided, but he is a bit younger than Pariah is. Also, I really enjoy drawing Pariah's expression. Pariah probably finds riding the bird to be on the scary side at first, but she finds it to be more fun as she gets more used to it. I thought about drawing Carson on the bird as well, but that felt like it would be too crowded. Carson would probably think it's really cool and would be a bit reckless, which would cause Pariah to panic. She'd probably be like, "Stop, you're gonna end up hurting yourself." Since I am talking about characters and stories, I wanted to mention that I'm officially working on the final chapter of my webcomic. I'm currently writing it out, and you might be thinking, Becca, you didn't have the ending written. And I did kind of have it written. It was just all in my head, but now I'm actually writing it out. Also, for all of you readers, I'll be posting one more chapter sometime in the near future, and then it will be the final chapter. So there are technically 2 chapters left. It is really tricky to find time to work on my webcomic right now, so please continue to be patient with me. Plus, the final chapter is going to be a very long one, so it'll kind of be like 2 chapters in one. I'm hoping I can maybe get it done before the end of the year, but we will see. Lastly, I added some color with my watercolor brush, and I also added a quick little sketch of Malachi interacting with the bird. I really enjoyed this one. I think it turned out really cute. So here are my concepts of Malachi's bird. I'm glad I took the time to do this since I wasn't sure if I wanted to include Malachi riding on a bird's back. if I wasn't able to draw it. Sometimes my story ideas are also limited by my drawing skills, but now I know I can, so I'll include it. Before we move over to my sketchbook, I want to thank Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring this video. Experience Japan from the comfort of your own home through Tokyo Treat and Sakurako snack boxes. Yes, these are both snack boxes, but each offer a unique experience. Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive monthly snack box packed with Japan's coolest and craziest treats. Each month you'll get a rare Kit Kat flavor, limited edition chips, noodles, and the latest treats from Japan straight to you. Sakurako is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box that supports local snack makers. Each box is carefully curated with traditional and seasonal snacks like mochi, dorayaki, manju, and more, including signature Japanese teas and an exclusive homeware item. Sakurako delivers an authentic taste of Japan to your home. Each box includes a cultural booklet featuring snack descriptions, allergen information, and fun insights about Japanese culture. This month, Tokyo Treat's theme is Snacktastic Moonfest. Each year, Japan launches limited edition lunar and rabbit-themed snacks to celebrate the Tsukimi, or moon viewing, like these Moontastic Pudding Mochi, Carrot Crunch Rice Puffs, and sweet potato wafer rolls. And your fall-inspired feast isn't complete without a seasonal favorite, chestnuts, which you can taste in this month's mouth-watering Mont Blanc Kit Kats. My two favorite snacks this time are the Choco Dream Star Bites and Heartwarming Harvest Cookie. These little star-shaped bites make for a lovely chocolatey treat, and these harvest cookies have an amazing flaky texture that I love. Next we have Sakurako with the theme of Autumn Moon Festival. Savor the season's delicacies and welcome autumn with snacks best enjoyed under the warm glow of the harvest moon. Featuring Tsukimi-themed cookies, carefully crafted rabbit soft chews, and a delicate Tsukimi Mikan cream cookie. This month's Sakurako snacks pair perfectly with the Tsukimi Gokokucha, which can be elegantly served in this month's box-exclusive home good, Tsukimi Unomi. It's super adorable. I love all the bunnies. My favorite snacks from this box were the Japanese pudding dorayaki and the usagi manju. These sweet little pancake treats make for a great light snack, and this usagi manju was so cute I almost didn't want to eat it, but it was really yummy, so I did. These boxes are super fun and make great gifts. If you want to check them out, you can use my code DRAWMANGA to get $5 off your first box. There are links in the description and pinned comment down below. Thank you so much again to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring this video. Next, I wanted to show my sketchbook a little bit of love because it's been forever since I last drew in it. I honestly completely forgot about these pen sketches and I don't know when I did them. Although this sketch of Chip is a bit distracting for some reason, so I'm going to cover him with a sticky note for now. He just looks too intense. Anyways, I wanted to do a simple drawing of Rumi from Kpop Demon Hunters because I watched the movie recently and I really enjoyed it, and so I wanted to make some fan art for it. However, as you know from the thumbnail, things end up not going so good, but we will get to that later. For now, I'm just starting off sketching, and I'm using the picture I showed earlier as my reference. I am using a purple Prismacolor Kohl Erase pencil for the sketching. It's actually been a pretty long time since I've used a Kohl Erase colored pencil for sketching. I more often reach for my erasable Arteza pencils, since I keep them all together. However, I forgot how much I like the feeling of Kohl Erase pencils. They feel smoother and kind of softer, but they are a little less erasable, I feel like. But yeah, they feel really nice to sketch with. Also, this is kind of where I went wrong. Yes, I went wrong this early on in the process. Instead of having her head be straight, I thought that maybe I could draw it slightly tilted. So this led me to draw the facial features tilted. However, instead of the head looking tilted to one side, the face ends up just looking really wonky, and I won't notice this for a really long time. My plan was to do this sketch and then color the hair with paint markers. I was really excited to use the paint markers, so I think I kind of rushed through the sketching process a little bit. I didn't use my usual ways of checking for wonkiness. Like, to see if something is off, I'll often take a picture of my sketch and then flip the picture on my phone. This is similar to flipping my canvas when I'm working digitally. A similar way to do this is I hold my sketch up to the light and look at the paper from behind. This also allows me to see the sketch flipped. In case you don't know, flipping an image is a common thing that artists do to check for mistakes or things that feel off, because as we are working on our art, we get used to how it looks, and sometimes we'll end up not seeing things that are obviously very wonky. So yeah, I should have done those things to double check my sketch, but it was feeling okay in the moment, and I was excited to use the paint markers, and I didn't really feel like checking for wonkiness was necessary, but it definitely was. But yeah, I've been wanting to play around with paint markers for a long time, but I haven't been able to do so. Speaking of the paint markers, I'll mostly be using Arrtx acrylic paint markers, but I'll also be using a couple of Ohuhu paint markers. Ohuhu was super sweet and sent me these as a gift last year, and I quite like them. So to start off, I'm blocking in the shadows with my darkest purple color. I sometimes have a hard time drawing smaller or more refined shapes with paint markers, and I did want some of the shadows to be kind of smaller or more refined, but I have found that it can be easier to block in the color and then paint over the color to refine the shape more. So that's what my plan was in this case. After I laid down all of the darkest color, I wanted to use this medium purple for a good amount of the hair, because it was just about the perfect color for Rumi's hair. However, when I went to use it, for some reason the purple was matching my darkest purple. It was much darker than it was on my swatch card, and I wasn't sure why. I even tried cleaning the nib a good amount, but the color didn't change. So this was gonna be a problem because I no longer had the perfect purple. The only other purple I had that was close was a much lighter purple. It wasn't my first choice, but I had to make it work. It was more bluey than I wanted, so I tried using a light pink for highlights to make things seem more pinkish. Plus, it's kind of just a fun pop of color. That is a downside to paint markers. Even though I have a large set with lots of colors, I can still feel really limited in my color choices. Also, I've tried a few different paint marker brands at this point, and does anyone else find it odd that it seems like the different brands have the exact same colors? And I don't mean like this set from brand A has a purple and this set from brand B has a purple. I mean they have the exact same purple, and this goes for multiple colors. Like they'll be exactly the same. I'm assuming the art brands are using a similar manufacturer or a similar paint mix, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of odd. So right here, I felt like the shadows were too dark for the lighter purple color, and this was making the shadows feel really unnatural. So I tried going in with what was supposed to be my mid-tone purple, and then I would super quickly switch to my lighter purple while the paint was still wet so that they mix. And I felt like this helped the shadows a good amount. It definitely helped lighten them up a bit. Also, it was really odd because the more I used that mid-tone purple that was weirdly dark, the lighter it got, and eventually it got back to the color that it used to be. I don't know if maybe the paint just separated weirdly in the marker, or if maybe for a previous project I used the purple with a dark purple a lot, and it really contaminated the ink. But yeah, eventually it just went back to being its original purple, and I am happy about that. I just wish it would have done it sooner. Like it did it really late into the process. I did a similar mixing process on the left side of the braid to mix the pink and the purple. I kind of just tried to work while they were still wet. Oh, and you may have noticed I added a bit of blue on the right side of the hair. I thought it'd be a fun pop of color and kind of contrast with the pink. So at this point in the process, I was having a lot of fun. I was enjoying myself, and I felt like the hair was turning out nice. It had that fun painty texture that I wanted, and my original plan was to only color the hair with markers, and I was going to just line art the rest. However, I was having so much fun coloring the hair that my brain was like, you should also color the skin. And I was really hesitant to because coloring the skin sounded more intimidating, but I decided to go for it. I started with the ear to help me warm up. For the skin, I'll be using a mixture of many different pinks as well as a range of skin tones to help me create the different shadows. It was definitely a process, and I was switching between a ton of different markers. Like I said, I watched Kpop Demon Hunters recently and really enjoyed it. I didn't watch the movie at first because, to be honest, the title just sounds kind of cringy for some reason. And this is coming from a person that was really into K-pop. I still listen to K-pop and enjoy it. I just don't keep up with groups as much as I used to. So yeah, I didn't watch it at first, but then I kept seeing so many people talking about it on Twitter and YouTube, and they would talk about how good it was. I also kept seeing clips of the animation online, and the animation looked really pretty. So I decided to give it a watch, and yeah, it's a really cute movie. I liked its overall message of you are more than your past and your flaws, and that you shouldn't let them define who you are. I also found it clever how the movie messages that you shouldn't let your inner demons control you. Things like insecurities, mistakes, and emotional burdens. Also, I know the movie isn't trying to be religious at all, but I am a Christian, so sometimes I watch things with that kind of lens, so to speak. And I guess I appreciated that the main big bad guy, who is basically a version of the devil, uses shame to control people. Because this is how the devil operates. He wants us to feel shame and hide away from people and God, because then it's easier to isolate us. He wants us to hide in shame, but God offers forgiveness and acceptance. And Rumi's journey of accepting herself reminds me of God's grace, acknowledging brokenness and finding healing. And rather than being condemned for her flaws, she is embraced by her friends and empowered to fight for good. Hopefully these ramblings of mine don't offend anyone. I'm not trying to push these ideas onto the movie or people. It's just my random thoughts I had while watching the movie, and it made me appreciate the movie. Also, the music is so good. It's so catchy. I love all of the songs by Huntrix. They have been living rent-free in my head for weeks. Golden is probably my favorite, but I also really like Takedown. It's also really cool that they got Twice to work on the album as well. And yeah, the animation is gorgeous. I love the stylization, which is why I'm even more sad that I drew Rumi so ugly. It was at this point that I picked up my sketchbook to look at my drawing straight on, and this is when I noticed just how wonky the face is, and my heart dropped a little bit. I felt like things were going pretty okay, but now I could see that her eye is like falling off her face. I drew the eyes way too tilted, and the head's overall shape is kind of weird. But I had spent way too much time on this piece to give up on it now, so I scanned the picture into my computer and decided I would fix things digitally. The picture was too far gone to fix it traditionally, but thankfully we have digital. I had to totally move the left eye, and I used the liquify tool a good amount to fix things. I also painted in with darker colors to help the values be more different. Something I do always struggle with when it comes to paint markers are the values, because a lot of the markers in the sets are a similar value, but they're a different hue. So I feel like I'm making darker shadows, but I'm not. The shadows are just different colors. They aren't actually darker. So yeah, I did a lot of painting over to darken the shadows and lighten the highlights. To be honest, I spent way too much time tweaking this picture, and I feel like it's going to always be one that I will never be 100% happy with. So I finally just had to call it done. The process for this picture was rocky, and I wanted to make a really pretty picture of Rumi, but this will have to do for now. Overall, I'm happy that I was able to get the piece to this point, instead of the Temu version of Rumi I drew earlier. Let this be a lesson to my future self. Don't skip double checking to see if your sketch is wonky. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble later. And so that is all the art I made for this video. Before we end, I want to thank my super awesome YouTube members and Patreon patrons for their support. It means so much to me. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!